From the silence of their cloisters emerged the observers, who spoke of their vision from God. A chalice, overflowing with light, hidden beneath the scorched clay of Damascus. The revelation spread like wildfire through the synod of strategic prophecy. The Council of Saints could not deny the sign. The Holy Grail, the chalice that held Christ's blood at the crucifixion, lost since before the fall of Jerusalem, found at last. If recovered, it could restore the Holy Mentalist Order's Meta-Christ program, allowing the Church to once again manufacture soldiers able to carry the war to hell itself. But infernal spies carried this news to darker ears. Baal, Lord of Ruin, learns of the vision, seeing the Grail as the key to his own blasphemous ambition. Christ's blood, bound in a mortal relic, could create an unholy weapon to rival the Church's paladins and crown Baal above the other archdevils. Yet, the court of the seven-headed serpent is not fooled. From the black keep of the iron city of Dis, the archdevils watched and whispered. Baal's ambition threatens the infernal hierarchy, a challenge that will not be tolerated. In response, the court released its own hunters into no man's land, with one purpose: to ensure the Grail's destruction and burn Baal's ambitions to ash. Upon the scarred field, only 4 strongholds remain. 4 broken husks that all must bleed to possess. The bunker on the hill, its walls pitted by shell fire. The forest ruins, twisted roots choking shattered stone. The artillery cannon, rusted and silent, yet still a prize of war. The Heretic Bunker, where blasphemy drips from every wall. At the end of each round, the warbands are weighed in blood. A soldier standing within a blade's reach of these places 1 inch from their cursed stones grants his master 1 victory point. But to truly claim them, to hold them in the name of God or hell, a warband must fill their shadows with more bodies than the foe. To stand wholly within their blackened footprints, outnumbering the enemy, is to control them and so claim 2 victory points. When the smoke clears and the last corpse has fallen, the points are tallied. The side with a greater count takes the field. Kyle calls the first line yeomen, humble oath-sworn of New Antioch. Blades clutch tight as prayers whisper across the ranks. Miguel sends forth a hunter of the left-hand path, a shadow walker steeped in augury and blood rites. Anthony answers with an anointed heavy infantryman, blistered flesh bound forever in hell-forged plate. The battle sharpens. Kyle's shock trooper storms ahead, bred for trench raids and sudden slaughter. Miguel's pit locust bursts skyward, a winged terror with blades for limbs. Anthony's death commando emerges from smoke, unseen until its claws are at your throat. The second wave advances. Kyle brings more yeomen, unflinching even as fire rains. Miguel's yoke fiend lumbers forward, a branded brute of fat, horn, and hate. Anthony's witch joins the fray, her blasphemous tongue twisting the air with sorcery. The lines tremble. Kyle's lieutenant strides into the trench line, heirloom blade in hand, rallying the faltering. Miguel's praetor arrives, a field commander of hell, wreathed in authority and ruin. Anthony's heretic trooper holds the flank, damned eyes still burning with defiance. Kyle's swordbearer surges forward, steel raised high. Miguel's wretched staggers on, broken yet desperate, seeking impossible redemption through blood. Anthony's second trooper falls in beside his kin, nameless, tireless, already lost. The battlefield erupts. Kyle's shock trooper charges in, trench-clearing fury unchained. Miguel's Hell Knight crashes down, a towering herald of the Serpent court, banners aflame. Anthony's heretic priest intones a profane gospel, every syllable tearing at mortal ears. And, at last, Kyle's mechanized heavy infantryman lumbers into place, heavy gun braced. The field is set. Saints and devils alike lean close to see whose blood will consecrate the soil. Round 1. The lines clash. The battle begins, with Miguel driving his forces forward. His yoke fiend, chains cracking, attempts to lash a nearby wretched into submission, but the blow falters. Snarling, the beast lumbers closer to the trench's edge. Kyle pushes the fight up the wall, his lieutenant climbing towards the bunker, heirloom blade ready. Across the lines, Anthony's death commando moves with spectral silence, dashing through the mire. With a flicker of its stealth field, the killer vanishes from sight, hidden, waiting. Miguel unleashes his Hell Knight, the armored titan storming down the trench. It drives to dash toward the objective, but the weight of its infernal plate drags it short. Kyle rallies his shock trooper, sending him to stand beside the lieutenant at the lip of the trench. Anthony advances a heretic trooper, boots sinking in muck as he pushes toward the heretic bunker. The hunter of the left-hand path stalks forward on Miguel's side, seeking auguries in blood. It attempts a dash, but fails, momentum lost in the mud. Kyle surges strength into the fight, his mechanized heavy infantrymen sprinting with thunderous strides. The chemical giant crashes into the objective. Anthony strikes back with unholy fire. His artillery witch conjures an infernal bomb, dropping it directly onto Miguel's praetor. The explosion blooms black fire, a direct hit. The praetor staggers 2 inches forward, flesh scorched, one blood marker burning into his tally.
What the fuck?
Roaring in reply, the praetor spreads its wings, vaulting the trench to seize clear ground by the bunker. Raising its Serpent assault gun, it spits infernal shells at the heretic priest. The first round glances harmlessly, but the second strikes flesh, a minor wound swelling blood into the soil.
Oh god. Okay.
Kyle advances further, yeomen scrambling into the objective. Anthony responds, his anointed heavy infantrymen trudging closer to the kill zone. He attempts a dash, but falters beneath the weight of his blistered armor. From the smoke comes Miguel's pit locust, shrieking as it dashes successfully onto the objective, claws and stinger poised. Kyle counters, sending his fire team shock trooper and flag bearer together to seize the ground. Their dash succeeds, the flag planted, their grip on the objective tightening. Anthony's heretic priest, bleeding from the praetor's assault, steadies his pistol. From cover, he fires a silenced round into Miguel's hunter, a clean hit, leaving the serpent stalker reeling with a minor wound. Miguel places his wretched ahead of the yoke fiend, a sacrificial screen of broken humanity. Kyle continues to press, his yeomen reinforcing the objective. Anthony brings up another heretic trooper, sprinting with a successful dash toward the trench wall, now threatening Kyle's hold on the objective. End of round 1. Anthony finishes the round with 3 victory points, 2 gained from his forces inside the objective and 1 from his presence outside it. Miguel claims 1 victory point, earned by holding ground outside the objective. Kyle secures 2 victory points, his soldiers pressing into the objective and tightening their hold on it. Round 2, fire and blood. The initiative shifts to Anthony. His artillery witch advances to the heretic bunker, summoning an infernal bomb with a gesture. The explosive arcs overhead and lands directly in the heart of Kyle's position. A perfect hit. His shock trooper is torn apart, body reduced to a ruin of fire and shrapnel. Miguel retaliates with fury. His praetor takes aim at the witch with the Serpent assault gun. The first volley drops her, the second carves another wound into her already broken body, adding a blood marker. Unleashing his wrath sin, the Praetor dashes to get line of sight and charges 12 inches into the fray with his burning hellblade. He cleaves into Kyle's trooper, downing him and searing his flesh with fire, inflicting 2 blood markers. Kyle answers with brutal precision. His heavy infantryman levels the machine gun, spitting steel at the charging Praetor. The first burst wounds, the second adds another, the third lands a critical strike enough to put the Praetor out of action. Yet, the Demon Lord's lieutenant is tough. Instead of being destroyed, he collapses to the ground, downed, his body scorched with 3 blood markers. Next time, there will be no reprieve. Antony maneuvers his death commando, slipping from stealth to the shadow of a wooden walkway. A successful dash carries him along the trench wall, but his attempt to vanish again fails, leaving him exposed. Miguel seizes the moment, calling upon goetic powers. His sorcery restores wounds to both Anthony's artillery witch and Kyle's trooper, before awakening his hunter of the left-hand path. With a gesture to the terrain, the hunter tears space and teleports across the battlefield, emerging in clear sight of Kyle's forces. His bow looses, and the arrow finds Kyle's heavy infantrymen, downing him. Kyle rallies with another shock trooper, pouring fire into the fallen Praetor. The bullets only draw blood a minor hit. Anthony pushes his anointed heavy infantryman to the window, igniting his flamethrower. Fire bellows, but the flames miss Miguel's exposed hunter. Miguel answers by shifting his pit locust inside the bunker, securing the position. Kyle strikes fast. His lieutenant advances up the trench wall, bursts his submachine gun, and cuts the pit locust out of action. His sword-bearer, moving as part of the fire team, sprints successfully and reinforces the lieutenant, taking the objective. Anthony sends a heretic trooper sprinting to the entrance of the Heretic Bunker. The dash succeeds, and the damned soldier dives inside to hold it. Miguel tries again to drive his wretched with the whip of his yoke fiend and fails. Frustrated, the fiend lumbers down the trench towards the ladder. Kyle withdraws his yeoman, baiting Miguel's downed Praetor into a feeble opportunity strike. The attack misses, the monster too broken to connect. Anthony capitalizes. His heretic trooper, seeing the retreat, sights the yeoman and fires the shot, downs him. With the way clear, the trooper dashes under the wooden walkway, holding ground. Miguel unleashes his Hell Knight, who succeeds in a dash and barrels down the trench, coming up behind Anthony's heretic trooper. Drawing a pistol, the knight channels blood magic, spending the vitality of the heretic priest to strike true. The trooper is blown out of action. Kyle pulls his shock trooper back, out of the Praetor's reach. With a final dash, the soldier climbs the trench to reinforce the lieutenant's hold on the bunker. Anthony's heretic priest advances, but fails his dash, leaving him stranded in the open. Miguel sends his wretched, crawling down the trench ladder, toward the barricade of corpses. End of round 2. Anthony earns 4 points, 2 points for his forces inside of the objectives. Miguel scores 1 point, contesting an objective. Kyle takes 3 points, 1 for contesting alongside Miguel, and 2 for fully holding his own objective. The score now stands: Anthony 7 points, Kyle 5 points, Miguel 2 points. The round opens with Miguel's fury. His Praetor rises, staggering but unbroken, and dashes back. From there, he wheels the Serpent assault gun toward Kyle's lieutenant at the bunker door. The hail of infernal shells cuts him down. Without pause, the Praetor surges again, charging into Kyle's nearby shock trooper. The Hellblade falls, cleaving with a critical strike, and the soldier dies where he stands. Kyle responds with grim discipline. His heavy infantryman rises, bracing the machine gun against the Praetor. The first volley only wounds, the second goes wide, but then Kyle commits everything. He burns the Praetor's 4 blood markers into the gun's fury. The third bursts tears through infernal armor and body alike. At last, the Praetor falls. Anthony's anointed heavy infantryman seizes the moment. A jet of fire washes across Kyle's yeoman, searing flesh and leaving 2 blood markers on the charred trooper. Miguel strikes back with sorcery. Calling once more upon the left-hand path, he sacrifices the blood of 2 enemy troops to fuel his power. Touching the battlement, he vanishes, only to reappear behind Anthony's anointed. His bow hums, the arrow cuts through armor as if it were parchment, dropping the giant where it stood. Kyle rallies his lieutenant, dragging him behind cover. Raising his firearm, he sights Anthony's death commando and fires. The assassin is struck down. But the killer rises again. The commando slinks to the trench wall, dashes across with inhuman grace, and succeeds in cloaking itself once more. Hidden from the eyes of God, it waits. In the depths of the trench, Miguel drives his yoke fiend to torment the wretched. The lash lands true this time, and 2 fresh blood markers spill for his armies to consume. Kyle stands his fallen trooper and sends him sprinting back toward the objective, bolstering his hold. Anthony's artillery witch rises, shuffling forward before conjuring another bomb. It falls near Kyle's lieutenant, the blast weaker than before, but enough to stagger him back with bruising force. Miguel sends the towering Hell Knight surging through the forest. With a successful dash, it closes distance, pistol raised. The shot is clean, the witch collapses, downed once more. Kyle's trooper steadies his rifle and fires at the hulking yoke fiend. The round goes wide, swallowed by the smoke. Anthony's heretic priest attempts to seize control of the Hell Knight with his puppet master spell, but the incantation falters, the Daemon Knight unshaken. End of round 3. Anthony holds one objective fully and contests another, gaining 3 points, rising to 10 total. Kyle seizes both of his objectives completely, gaining 4 points, climbing to 9 total. Miguel clings to part of an objective, scraping 1 point, reaching 3 total. The score narrows. Anthony's still leading, but Kyle presses dangerously close, and Miguel bleeds strength while his demons rage against dwindling ground. The final round begins in blood and desperation. Miguel calls upon his tortured wretched, bleeding it for 2 markers to fuel the left-hand path. With a gesture, he tears reality and reappears behind the anointed. His bow hums, the arrow ignoring all armor, and it strikes true. The anointed is slain in brutal fashion, body collapsing into fire and ash. Kyle moves his lieutenant down the trench, away from the bunker, and sights his weapon on the looming yoke fiend. The shot goes wide. Anthony responds, his death commando breaking stealth, scaling the trench wall to contest the bunker. With a hiss, its stealth field activates again, cloaking the killer from mortal eyes. Miguel's Hell Knight raises its pistol once more, firing into the battered artillery witch, scoring a wound and leaving another blood marker. With hellish force, the knight dashes forward, securing the objective. Kyle counters, sending his trooper into the bunker to tighten his hold on it. Anthony drives the wounded witch down the trench, forcing it into a desperate dash. It succeeds, dragging her into position to contest Kyle's objective. Miguel presses harder. His yoke fiend attempts to dash, but its monstrous weight betrays it, leaving it stranded mid-trench. Kyle sees his chance. His heavy infantryman shifts into line of sight, sights the fiend, but Miguel burns the last blood marker, twisting fate itself. The heavy stumbles, his aim ruined. Instead, the shot goes wild, and in the chaos, the yoke fiend is downed. Anthony's heretic priest makes his move, shuffling down the trench with dark intent, but his dash fails, leaving him stranded in the mud. Miguel's wretched claws its way to the trench wall, desperate to seize ground, but the dash fails. It comes up short of the objective. Anthony commands the field. He wholly controls one objective and contests 2 others, gaining 4 points, rising to a final total of 14. Kyle rallies valiantly, holding 2 objectives in full for 4 points, reaching 13-inch total. Miguel claws together 2 points from his 1 secured objective, ending at 5.